Hello and welcome. My name is Thomas. In this video, we're going to be talking about getting the right gear for your podcast. Okay, so in this video, this is actually the second in a series of 4 videos. So if you didn't have a chance already, make sure that you go and you check out video 1 in this series. I'm going to be leaving a link below this video, which will be a link to the whole playlist. It will be a playlist of all 4 videos where you can go check those out in any order that you want. But like I said, it's going to be really important. If you're going to be starting a podcast and you want to use this video series as kind of your basis for doing so, you want to make sure that you check out video 1 because that's where I take some time to talk about some of the fundamentals and important things that you need to consider prior to hitting that record button. Okay, so like I said, what we're going to be talking about today is gear. Now, the first thing I need to mention to you is this has become the gear that I personally like to use. So don't think that you have to copy me verbatim. I've tried a number of different microphones and mixers and things out there, and these are just the ones that I have settled on. So again, there are a ton of options out there. These are just the ones that I have personally used, I like, and I recommend. So the first thing that you're going to need, the thing that is so important and the part that so many people either go cheap on or overlook, is the microphone. The microphone is what is going to make or break the sound quality that you are producing. And as you can imagine, as sound kind of being a pretty important part of the puzzle, it's going to be one of the things that you don't overlook. So the microphone I finally decided on was the Lewitt 240 Pro. So I've tried a number of different microphones, and what I found was that this one is actually surprisingly affordable compared to a number of comparable microphones. And after doing a little bit of messing around, I actually found that I ended up liking this microphone better than some of the other ones that are a little bit more expensive. It's got a very deep, rich sound. It's fairly easy to get up and running, and it's one of those things that, again, there's a number of comparable microphones out there that sounded kind of tinny to me, that didn't quite have the full volume of sound that I was looking for, but this particular microphone, the LCT 2040 or 240 Pro, was out of all the ones that I explored, or was definitely the best. Now, another one I'll mention as well is the Heil PR40. This one I'm gonna kind of give an honorable mention just because it's so popular, and I still do use this microphone from time to time. It's one that also has a very rich, very nice sound to it. So if you're looking for something that looks a little bit more like a traditional microphone, I do highly recommend the Heil as well, or Heil, or however you pronounce it, Heil PR40. If you're not really into the white look or the kind of more modern look of this microphone, this particular microphone right here also comes in black. So if you don't like the white, you can do that. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit more of a traditional style microphone, the sound quality in these are pretty similar. Still, at the end of the day, after a lot of the tests I ran, I did actually end up liking the sound quality of this one better. All those pieces aside, the main point that you need to remember when it comes to picking a microphone is that you want to get some sort of condenser microphone, something that you're going to hook up into a mixer, because that's going to give you a sound quality that just goes beyond what you're going to be able to get with most USB mics. Now, I will say USB microphone technology has come a long way, so you may find one that has good quality that you're happy with. But again, I just want to provide you with some options here today. You determine what you want to switch in and out and what's going to work best for you. Once you've picked out your microphone and you've got that all squared away, the next thing that you're going to want to get is some sort of arm. You're going to need something that will actually hold this microphone up, and you can't really see it in this shot, but I've got this arm that's attached to my desk, and it's very flexible and portable. It swings around when I'm not using it, and the nice thing about using an arm on a desk is that I do a lot of tutorials. If you're subscribed to the channel, you know well, I do a lot of video tutorials, so I need to be able to have my hands free to be able to type, and so the arm helps stay out of the way. The other piece of equipment that I was previously holding is kind of like a boom pole. It's something that's got a heavy weighted base and it kind of sits right on a table. If you don't need to worry about a keyboard, if you're just going to be sitting at a desk, just you and your microphone, I'd recommend getting one of those because they're really easy to just kind of move around or store somewhere, like you saw me just holding that a minute ago. That's a little bit simpler, not as much storage room taking place, particularly if you don't really need to be using your microphone at your desk or with some sort of computer setup. But at the end of the day, all you need to determine is just something that's actually going to hold that microphone. Okay, the next thing that you're going to need if you're going to be using a microphone like this or like the Heil PR40 that I was holding earlier, you are going to need a mixer. So a mixer is essentially something that is going to connect your microphone to the mixer and then your mixer to your computer. The mixer generally will be the device that determines what your microphone is actually going to sound like. So first of all, let me give you a really quick disclaimer, which is that I am not an audio professional. I watched a few videos on YouTube on how to do some basic configuration of my mixer to kind of get the sound out of it that I wanted. So all I'm going to do with you here today is I'm going to share with you what I've done in order to get the sound out of the microphone that you are currently hearing. If you want a different sound, remember you're going to have to go in and you're going to have to make those changes yourself. And there's going to be probably about 1 million videos even here on YouTube of people who will be able to walk you through specifically how to get different sounds out of a mixer. But again, just going to share with you the basics of that you need a mixer and some of the steps that you need in order to get that up and running properly. Now, one of the other things I will also mention is that the type of mixer that you get is also going to be really important. So what I ended up getting is actually what is called a USB mixer. Most mixers, you're going to have to get some sort of special cables or hookups or wires or adapters in order to hook it up into your computer in order to actually record. However, if you get a USB kind like I got, you can actually just hook it up via USB cable directly into your computer, and then it's just recognized. If you're on Windows, you might need some additional drivers, but on a Mac and even on an iPad, I've done some recording on my iPads before, you just plug that mixer via USB into your computer and it can start capturing that audio input. Okay, so then for some of the settings on the mixer itself, what I went ahead and did is kept most of the base or kind of built-in settings at 0 or at their default. And then in the EQ settings, you've got the high frequency, you've got the mid, and you've got the low. So this is going to determine kind of which parts are amplified or minified or kind of suppressed as these sound frequencies are going through your microphone and into the mixer, and then what comes out into your computer. So what I did is I went ahead and took the high frequency and I turned it down a little bit below 0. It goes from 0, I think it's -15 or +15. So I went ahead and turned it down a little bit below 0. And this is, again, just with me. I had headphones on, kind of listening to my own voice through the microphone as I'm kind of tweaking those. But I went a little bit below on the high, a little bit below on the mid, and then I turned it to about, I don't know, I'd say like +7, +5, something like that on the lower frequency. I did this particularly because I wanted a little bit of a deeper, more rich sound that came out of the microphone. The other setting that I turned on, as well as I had to make sure that phantom power, again, it's really important that your mixer, and by the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a link to this mixer and all the gear that I use below so that you can access it directly and check it out. I had to make sure that I turned phantom power on because I think to my, as far as I know, this particular mic does require phantom power in order to work properly. The other thing that I did is under the main mix, which is the slider that is the actual, I guess you could call it the master volume, so to speak, I put that at 0. And then at the very top left portion where you actually plug in what's the XLR cable, so this piece right here, for this particular microphone, at that point in time, I started adjusting the gain. So I start the gain at the very lowest setting, which is going to be basically -infinity, I think is what it says. So that, it's basically 0, except for it's not. It's basically no sound. And then I've got my microphone, my headphones on, which you'll probably want to have some sort of headphones that you plug directly into the mixer. And then there's going to be the actual gauge for how loud this is on the mixer. So it's going to be like 3 lights, that are green, and then a yellow one, and then a red one, or something similar to that. And essentially, as you're talking, you'll see those audio levels going up, right? So they'll be green. And so what you want to do is you want to keep turning that gain up as you're talking into the microphone, so that it's green, 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 and as you're talking at your very loudest, almost yelling but not quite, as you're talking louder, once you see that start to dip into the yellow, then you've probably hit the right spot. You don't have to be too low, but right as it's kind of peaking into the yellow, you're good. What you do not want is you don't want what's called clipping. So you do not want that to spike into red. If it ever hits red at any point in time, then your audio level, your gain is too high. You want to make sure you turn that down a little bit. As long as it's spiking into the yellow and not into the red, you've got it at about the right volume that's then going to come into your computer. You want to make sure you get all the volumes perfect on the mixer first, otherwise they're not going to be the best quality if you try to fix it with your software or on your computer. The other thing I'll note about my particular mixer is that I decided to get one that has slots for 4 separate microphones. If you know for a fact it's just going to be you, there are some I think out there that have one slot, just a spot for one microphone. However, I've had a tough time finding a good mixer that only has a spot for one microphone. You can also get some better ones that have a spot for 2. The only reason I got a mixer with 4 slots is because, for one, the quality of this mixer seemed to be pretty good, but also, number 2, I always wanted to keep the option open where in the future, if I wanted to have an interview with 4 people, I wanted to make sure that my mixer would be able to do it. So in that case, I would be able to plug 4 microphones in, set this thing up below a table or something like that, and then do some sort of larger form, larger scale recording or podcast if I needed to. The next thing you're going to need that I kind of alluded to earlier is a nice XLR cable. So the USB cable will typically come with your mixer that'll plug into your computer, but you will need one of these, a nice little XLR cable. Again, I will leave a link below what that looks like, but you're just going to want to make sure that you get this XLR cable that connects from your microphone and into your mixer. One of the other things that I did as well is I bought some of these little Velcro ties so that I can make sure that I can keep my wires nice and tidy. But that's just going to be important. That's kind of the last piece to the puzzle to ensure that your microphone connects to the mixer and then mixer through USB to your computer. The last thing I would mention as kind of an optional tip is that you get a nice pair of headphones. I'm currently using the Audio-Technica Bluetooth edition, so these are completely wireless. However, they do have a spot where you can actually hook in a wire, which is where you'll be able to hook this into your computer. I recommend this more so if you're, particularly when you're going through your editing phases, as we're going to be talking about in the next video in terms of recording and editing your podcast episode. But it's good that you're using a really high quality, even if you want to get some that have noise canceling. These do not, but they are they've kind of got those nice little cups so that, really good sound quality come out of these, so that you're going to be able to hear if there's some humming or some background noise. Is going to help you identify it, or little pitch things. Anything that you want to be kind of nitpicky about, you're going to need a nicer pair of headphones. The other thing that will help with a nicer pair of headphones as well is that it's going to enable you to monitor directly within your mixer. So you would need a special adapter, because you can't just, for most mixers, you can't just plug in the standard headphone jack. You need a bigger, I can't remember the name of it, but a bigger headphone jack. So they sell adapters that take a regular headphone jack and plug it into the bigger jack that goes into a mixer. But that way you'd actually be able to monitor the sound directly from your mixer into headphones to hear the actual most accurate representation of the sound that your mixer is putting out. You don't have to do that. You can do it straight through your computer. Just know that you won't be getting the exact accurate what's coming directly out of your microphone. That may work for you. But if for no other reason, editing, it's going to be great to have a nice extra pair of headphones that are top quality to ensure that you're able to hear every little nuance of what it is that you are recording. Okay, so that's it. Like I said, I am not an audio professional in any way, shape, or form. I just shared with you what I am currently using myself in terms of gear and what I've decided to do in terms of my mixer setup. So as always, feel free to swap in and out what you think is going to be working best for you. Now in the next video, we're going to be talking all about actually recording and then editing and preparing a podcast episode. So that one's going to be pretty intensive. So again, make sure that you subscribe, hit that bell notification so that you get notified the moment that that video is ready for you. If you found this video useful, hit that like button, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this episode of Rightly TV. Be sure to click on one of the other episodes on this page. Plus, head on over to rightly.co, where you'll be able to create a free account, which will give you access to all the videos, the podcast, articles, downloads, and more. Again, head on over to rightly.co, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.